10 blockbuster trades that would shake up the 2025 NFL Draft. The NFL Draft is essentially the Christmas day of the offseason for football fans. But how do you make the draft even sweeter? Blockbuster trades in the NFL, of course. With this year's big event in Green Bay inching closer, let's dive into 10 blockbuster trades that would drastically shake up the 2025 NFL Draft. Which top 10 trades would stir a lot of hype in the 2025 NFL Draft? Giants trade up for top pick. Select Cam Ward. If there's one quarterback-needy team that could realistically meet the Tennessee Titans' asking price for the number 1 pick, it's the New York Giants. Brian Daboll's group currently holds the number 3 pick in the draft, so they wouldn't have to surrender a king's ransom to jump into the top spot. So with that, allow us to propose the following scenario. To Giants, number 1 pick. With the number 1 selection, the Giants roll the dice on Miami quarterback Cam Ward and secure their quarterback of the future. The Titans are happy to pass on Ward and wait until the deeper 2026 QB draft class. Arch Manning, anyone? To get their man. New York signed Jameis Winston and Russell Wilson just days apart, yes. However, both are merely short-term options and not long-term solutions in New York. There's no issue in taking Ward now. Have him learn behind 2 veteran Pro Bowlers, especially a renowned leader like Wilson, before taking on the reins. The Titans get extra draft picks and still guarantee themselves one of Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter. Both are elite, can't-miss talents. Passing on Ward to get one of those guys and 2 extra draft picks is worth it. Saints make a deal with Raiders, grab Sanders. Deion Sanders' son is easily the most polarizing NFL prospect of this year's draft class. Some scouts and analysts have Shedeur Sanders as the top QB ahead of Cam Ward. Others think he's a mid-first round pick, and others don't think he's even worthy of being a day 1 selection. Well, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Remember, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, and Lamar Jackson were all considered boom or bust prospects. And look how they panned out. So with that, we propose the following trade. The New Orleans Saints acquire the number 6 pick from the Las Vegas Raiders in exchange for the number 9 and number 93 selections, plus a 2026 4th rounder. With the number 6 pick, the Saints secure their quarterback of the future in Shedeur Sanders. There's the new young hotshot QB to pair with. Well, the new hotshot head coach in Kellen Moore. With Derek Carr's 2025 season in jeopardy because of a nagging shoulder injury, the urgency for New Orleans to draft a QB increases. But even if the veteran gets clearance to play, let Shedeur sit behind Carr for 1 year before taking over the offense in 2026. The Saints can cut or trade Carr in his contract year and let Shedeur inherit an offense with Chris Olave, Alvin Kamara, and Talise Fuaga. Finally, the Saints have long-term hope again with a post-Carr plan. Patriots make win-now trade with Browns for Travis Hunter. Well, the New England Patriots sure aren't playing around in year 1 under new head coach Mike Vrabel. Their work this offseason shows that the Pats aren't rebuilding anymore. They want to win now. I mean, they didn't sign star wide receiver Stephon Diggs, veteran center Garrett Bradbury, offensive tackle Morgan Moses, Super Bowl winning defensive tackle Milton Williams, edge rusher Harold Landy, linebacker Robert Spillane, and shutdown corner Carlton Davis to be an AFC bottom feeder again. The Pats still need more receiving help, with Diggs an injury risk at age 31 and coming off a torn ACL. They could also use one more stud defensive back to help the Christian Gonzalez and Carlton Davis-led secondary. Well, Colorado two-way phenom Travis Hunter can be the solution on both ends. This brings us to the next proposal. The Patriots acquire the number 2 pick from the Cleveland Browns in exchange for the number 4, number 69, and no 144 selections and wide receiver Demario Douglas. So now the Pats have Hunter secured as their next superstar wide receiver. Now Drake May and company are locked and loaded for years to come, and Hunter can be used as a corner if Vrabel wants to go that route. Meanwhile, the Browns get extra draft picks to fill their many roster flaws. With a Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, and Deshaun Watson QB room, they can tank their way to a top QB prospect next year. And with the number 4 pick, they'd still get a valuable day 1 starter. Michigan defensive tackle Mason Graham and LSU offensive tackle Will Campbell would be among the best options here. Packers move up for a new WR1. The Green Bay Packers haven't used a first-round pick on a wide receiver since 2002, when they took Florida State's Javon Walker. That bold strategy worked when they were finding gems in the later rounds, like Davante Adams, Randall Cobb, and Jordy Nelson. But Packers GM Brian Gutekunst keeps avoiding the need for big-time receivers in round one. And news flash, the Packers haven't had a game-changing pass catcher since trading Davante Adams in 2022. Well, the streak finally breaks this year. At least it should. In our next proposal, the Packers acquire the number 18 pick from the Seattle Seahawks in exchange for the number 23 pick, wide receiver Romeo Dewes, and a 2026 fourth-round pick. Then the Packers select Texas wide receiver Matthew Golden in the 2025 NFL Draft, finally, at long last, getting their new WR1 for Jordan Love. Now, an offense with Golden, Jaden Reed, Christian Watson, and Josh Jacobs is ready to roll. Seattle gets another promising young wideout in Dubes to complement Jackson Smith-Njigba and Cooper Kupp, and they're happy to move down at number 23, where plenty of day one starters remain available. A win-win for both sides. Colts roll the dice on Kirk Cousins. The Falcons can toot Cousins' horn all they want, but there's no logical reason to keep him on as Michael Penix Jr.'s backup. Not with $100 million guaranteed on his contract. Cousins would likely have to rework his deal to facilitate a trade, but he'd surely do so if it meant getting the chance to start elsewhere. The Indianapolis Colts have been in QB purgatory since Andrew Luck's stunning 2019 retirement, so allow us to propose a potential solution here involving Captain Kirk. With the Colts desperate and with the Falcons just needing to move on, trade negotiations shouldn't be difficult. Cousins to the Colts in exchange for the number 117 pick and a conditional 2026 fifth-round pick. Cousins gets a fresh start. Atlanta clears the money. Win-win. Colts QB Blockbuster Part 2. Rams take a flyer on Anthony Richardson. If the Colts were to take a chance on Cousins, it'd have to spell the end of Anthony Richardson in Indianapolis. The Colts don't need all three of A-Rich, Cousins, and Daniel Jones on their roster. The number 4 pick of the 2023 NFL Draft has underwhelmed tremendously up to this point, though the Colts aren't devoid of blame. Richardson needs to learn from one of the league's best offensive-minded coaches on a team that actually shows full confidence in him. With Matthew Stafford on a year-to-year basis, the Los Angeles Rams would be wise to figure out a succession plan. I'm not sure about you, but we're sure Sean McVay would love to have an ultra-athletic and dual-threat QB like Richardson succeed the not-so-mobile Stafford. Richardson can sit behind Stafford for a year or two, with McVay taking the young QB under his wing. A fair trade for all parties here? The Rams' 2026 second-round pick and the number 127 selection this year for Anthony Richardson. It's adequate value for Indy, considering Richardson's lackluster production up to this point. And even if Cousins didn't pan out, well, we dare say the Colts would be bad enough to tank and get a top quarterback in 2026. Steelers send TJ Watt to the Cardinals. The 2021 Defensive Player of the Year sent social media into a frenzy when he posted this on his Instagram story. Worth noting that Watt is entering the final year of his contract. The Steelers haven't won a playoff game in his career, so you could understand if the 31-year-old is looking to chase a ring elsewhere, especially if Pittsburgh isn't willing to meet his contract demands. Cardinals GM Monty Ossenfort needs to be aggressive if Arizona is to close the gap with 3 superior division rivals in the NFC West. And with Arizona especially needing a stud pass rusher, Pittsburgh feels like the ideal trade partner. So how about this? Watt and the number 21 pick will be traded to the Cardinals in exchange for the number 16 selection and Arizona's 2026 second-round pick. Basically, Arizona is giving up a second-rounder and only moving down 5 spots to get one of the league's top 3 pass rushers. They can still get a stud with the number 21 pick, but Pittsburgh is happy to move up 5 spots and get a future second-rounder for a player who might not want to finish his career here anyway. Titans trade back into round 1 for Jackson Dart. The San Francisco 49ers have lost an insane amount of notable talent this offseason, namely Deebo Samuel, Aaron Banks, Talanoa Hufanga, Charvarius Ward, Dre Greenlaw, and Leonard Floyd. Not even a year after handing superstar wideout Brandon Ayuk a 4-year extension worth $120 million, it already feels like San Fran has buyer's remorse. His name has popped up aplenty in trade rumors this offseason, and the lack of moves by GM John Lynch suggests the 49ers don't think they can win a Super Bowl with this core. May as well get out of Ayuk's contract before it kicks in and clear the much-needed cap space. And no Super Bowl contender needs a real WR1 more than the Baltimore Ravens, which makes this proposal simple. Ayuk to the Ravens for the number 27 selection. Easy peasy. The Ravens now have Ayuk, Derrick Henry, Mark Andrews, and Zay Flowers to bolster its Super Bowl chances around Lamar Jackson. San Fran gets an extra first-round pick that can be used on another receiver anyway. Otherwise, they can easily make do with an offense led Brock Purdy, George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey, Jawan Jennings, and Ricky Pearsall. Tyreek Hill. You're a Dallas Cowboy. Hill has gone back and forth about wanting to leave the Miami Dolphins. He notably stated, "I'm out, bro," after their season ended in January. Then he said he wanted to stay. Then he posted cryptic messages hinting at a desire to leave. Then he shut down rumors about wanting to be traded. Hill's latest legal dispute, this time involving his wife, mother-in-law, and young daughter, should be the final straw for Miami. Hill is becoming a giant headache reminiscent of Antonio Brown with the Steelers in 2018. So join us in getting crazy on this scenario. Tyreek Hill and the number 13 pick to the Dallas Cowboys in exchange for the number 12 selection and number 44 selections. Or, essentially, Hill for Dallas's 2025 second-round pick. Jerry Jones finally makes his win now move and pairs the future Hall of Famer with CeeDee Lamb. Now Dak Prescott is in line to have the best statistical season of his career, with Dallas ready to regain its status as an offensive juggernaut. Trading Hill clears the cap space and locker room issues for Miami. They move up one spot in the NFL draft and secure an extra second-rounder. And with the number 12 pick, GM Chris Grier is well equipped to find Jalen Waddle's new running mate. That could be Texas's Matthew Golden, Ohio State's Emeka Egbuka, Arizona's Tetairoa McMillan, or Missouri's Luther Burden III.